With Fairy Tail's newest anime, entitled 100 Years Quest, soon to come to a close, I figured it was time to finally talk about it once again. Now normally I'd wait until the entire season wraps before making a video like this, but as far as I can tell, unless JC staff happens to drop a bombshell in this latter half of the season, I think I've seen enough to follow through on what I want to accomplish with this video, which is the good, the bad, the disappointing, and the hope that has been all brought about by the anime adaptation of 100 Years Quest. And if you're watching this video and maybe wondering if you should give this new anime a chance, stick around and you will hopefully find your answer. Now, I think a great place to start is the good. Diving right into the negativity at the start just doesn't feel right, and I think I do have a bit more positive things to say about the anime than I do negative. I think. Anywho, Fairy Tail, since its very first episode aired all the way back in 2011, I believe, has always been one of those anime with a killer soundtrack. In fact, outside of the main cast of characters, the music might be the most recognizable and iconic piece of the show. And in its sequel series, that continues to be the case. Yasuhiro Takanashi, who was the original composer for all 9 seasons of the anime, returns once again to deliver the goods, which, if you can't tell by now, he most certainly does. All the new tracks produced here fit seamlessly into the long history of incredible music, and keeps that integral Fairy Tail feel. It's high energy, it gets the head banging, and the bagpipes are bagpipier than they've ever been. It's fantastic all around in my opinion, and seemingly most others, although I do know, however, that one song in particular, the lyrical version of Beyond the Quest, holds some contention among listeners. But personally, while I do understand why people may not like it, and while even I do find it a bit goofy, I still love it. It's a great piece and again feels very Fairy Tail. Anyway, I mentioned the main cast earlier, and that too is one of the very bright spots of the show. Almost every single memorable voice from the original cast reprises their role. They step back into the characters without missing a beat. And I don't usually talk about English dubs, because, I mean, to be honest, I rarely ever watch them. But Fairy Tail is one of those anime where the English dub is basically just as strong, if not stronger, than the Japanese dub. Hearing all their voices again was so unbelievably nostalgic, because the main way that I consumed Fairy Tail back in the day was through the English dub. So it just brought a giant smile to my face. It felt like the gang was just getting back together again for another adventure. It felt like they were all so happy to be there. And similarly to the Japanese dub, Todd Haberkorn, Colleen, Newton, and all the others step back into these roles so seamlessly. It's almost like they never even took a day off. One thing to note here, though, about the English dub is that the voice of Gajeel was replaced. I'm unaware of the very specific reason behind the replacement. I do know that the original voice actor stepped away. Really, all I know is he is now voiced by Phil Parsons, who doesn't sound awful in the role, but when you've heard a character sound away for like a decade and then suddenly there's a change, it's very off-putting. Again, he's not bad, just very different. But another very bright spot for 100 Years Quest is the entirety of Episode 6, Lineage of Fire. In my humble opinion, this is the best looking episode in the entirety of Fairy Tail, bar none. Past series included. From the animation to the music, everything was a solid 9 out of 10. There's really only one part of the episode that is a little weak, but the rest of it is so great, it's very easy to look past such a minor mishap. This was the finale for the Mercphobia arc, and one of the most hype chapters at the time the 100 Years Quest manga first dropped. out. And I'm guessing to honor all that, like this being the finale and this being so great in the manga, they decided to give this episode their utmost attention? And hey, if that's the case, the results speak for themselves. Alrighty, now that that's all been said, it's time to move on to the bad stuff about the anime. Well, bad and disappointing. I separated those points at the beginning, but the bad stuff about the show is the most disappointing to me, so yeah. But there's really only one thing about 100 Years Quest that I find to be both of those things, and that is unfortunately the animation. One of the biggest criticisms, if not the biggest criticism of the final season of Fairy Tail, was the animation was wildly inconsistent at times, and at its worst was just plain hard to watch. So with the sequel series being announced and a new studio to helm the adaptation, you would think things would be different, and while I do think the animation is very good at times for 100 Years Quest, a lot of the same problems that plagued the final season are very present here as well. I don't know what happened at the conception and production stage for JC Staff. You're handed one of the most recognizable and beloved franchises in all of shonen anime and manga, and the turnaround is this. ACGT, which is a separate animation studio, is apparently partially responsible for the mishandling of the anime, but even if that is the case, it doesn't really matter, at least not to me, because it all falls at the feet of JC Staff. They were the ones that gained the rights to make the anime in the first place, and for whatever reason, there just wasn't enough time given to deliver a product that improved on what's come before. It's just very unfortunate. I don't believe the animation is dreadful or one of the worst things that I've ever seen. In fact, there are some really well animated bits sprinkled in here and there. But when you look at almost every other modern day adaptation of a shonen property, for the most part, they are leagues above what 100 Years Quest is doing. Fairy Tail just seems to be one big step behind its competitors. Now to move on to the final portion of this video, which is what I'm hopeful for, is for JC Staff and everyone that was involved in the production of 100 Years Quest to see a lot of the positive reception it's getting online and improve in the one area that is universally criticized: the animation. Craft a solid team and put the work in to make this anime the best it can be. Make it far better than Season 1. There's some really good stuff upcoming in these next few arcs, and there's plenty of time to pull it back. There's plenty of time to save the sinking ship. Also, maybe next time don't shove 3 arcs into 25 episodes. Cause, yeah, that's probably one of the reasons this had so many problems. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is going to do it for this one, so thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with the notifications on. And if you've seen Fairy Tail's newest anime, what's been your favorite part about it? And what do you think they could improve on in Season 2? Oh, well, with those questions asked, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody!